Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to Moments of Clarity. Y'all already know what it is. 888. Tonight we are talking about co-parenting, and I'm so excited because first of all, I'm always excited about everything. If you don't know by now, what's up, love? But I'm really excited because I feel like, I'm just really excited to talk about this topic of co-parenting. And I also feel like I'm gonna accidentally spill a lot of tea. Like, my goal is to keep it, high level, because I definitely want to respect all parties involved. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta share my story. So but I'm excited. Hey y'all, thanks for the love. Thank you everybody for joining. Please, if you have the capacity, share with some of your friends who are parents working to navigate co-parenting. I really wanted to talk about this because I just feel like, I don't think we talk about co-parenting a lot. I feel like we talk a lot about nuclear families, which is great. I really hope everybody who is watching this who is having kids or working on having kids, that you guys are able to do whatever is best for you. And I would say just try to make sure when you have a kid with somebody, is really somebody that you really want to have a kid with, because nuclear families aren't always the best, even if you do have that initial intention. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, we talk a lot about nuclear families. It's time to talk about co-parenting and just really how to navigate after you find yourself in a co-parenting situation. Also, when I think about the revolution and really healing our community, I think about children and just making sure they have the best upbringing as possible. And one of the things that I see is the difficulties that it comes when it comes to co-parenting. Even on my side and Luke's dad's side, we still, try to have to figure some stuff out. But we gonna make it work, because we got to. Hey everybody that just joined. Today we're talking about co-parenting. But before I get started, I just want to share some good news, y'all. I feel like these past couple weeks I've been really tired, but I've been making some huge strides in my just journey of hosting and journalism. So I want to celebrate going to Atlanta and having my first paid gig in Atlanta. Shout out to Samara Poe, who's been a close friend of mine for some time now. But she threw her first event, her first personal event called the Mogul Mixer, and it was lit. And she hired me to interview all of the upcoming media professionals down there. I got to meet some really great people. Names off the top of my head is Leah. I don't know if you're watching this, Leah, but shout out to you. Demarie, I think that was his name. He was pretty dope. Trey, but so many beautiful Black people who are just yes, I am. A shout out to Andre 3000, Outcast, woo! But yeah, y'all, so I just wanted to celebrate that. And if y'all could put y'all accomplishments down below, that would be great. I would love to see what you guys are celebrating. I think what's up next for me is creating a vision board. I feel like it's time for me to just really put everything on paper so that I can visualize it every day. I think that vision boards are really powerful. Drop a piece of paper or something in the comments, or a heart if you believe in vision boards too. But 2 years ago, I made a vision board for the first time. It was the first time I was super intentional. Before I made vision boards, and they were just basic. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, love. But yeah, my goals were super basic. But 2 years ago, I was intentional, and everything on that board came into fruition. I put having an office on there, and I didn't even know how I was going to get an office. I literally just put it on there, and I ended up getting my own office space for a year and some change. And so And I didn't have to pay for it. So I think that, let me know if y'all believe in the vision board magic, because God, you know what I'm saying? What do they say? God will provide. And who are we? We are just an image of God. And so what does that mean? Period. Say getting paid in different area codes. Ashe. I got Franklin's. I got Franklin's in different area codes. You in the back. Okay. So let's get started because I don't want to take too much of y'all's time. Reality board. I love that, brother. That's my brother, y'all. Shout out to Jeans. Jeans way too strong. Also, if you guys want to come up and talk about co-parenting experiences that you've had, and remember, you don't have to be a parent to like really understand this topic. This could also be a time to help you like really register what kind of happened to you. Maybe I'm going to talk about my experience with experiencing co-parenting, and also me being a co-parent. But I want to let all the ladies know there will be a Black Women in Business Part 2 event next Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the Southeast Library Branch. I think it starts at 6, but it's going to be lit. We had a Part 1 at Genuine Work in August. We're following up with another event. It's just a way for us to come together and really talk about some things that we kind of deal with as businesswomen. It's a way for you to network, but we're really trying to build a community of support and collaboration with Black women. And next Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Southeast Library Branch. Come and join me, Dana Dane from Scripted in Black, and Nyasia from Nyasia and Associates. Nyasia Simon and Associates, period. Come on, no cue cards? Come on. All right, let's take a deep breath, because I feel like I'm just going. Did I already say y'all could join this conversation if y'all wanted to? Hey, y'all. Okay. Period. Don't forget, because y'all left me up here by myself last week. I ain't going. Also, you might be able to win a mug. You know what I'm saying? If you come up here. So don't be scared. Don't be shy. But let's get it. So, again, I chose co-parenting because I feel like it's a topic that is definitely necessary, and I'm all about the elevation of the Black community. I'm very intentional about that because people are intentional about tearing us down. So I want to be intentional about bringing us up. Hey, everybody that just joined, welcome to the community. Come on in, bring that ass in here. Yes. Okay. So I want to start off with my experience with co-parenting as a child. When I was a child, my parents co-parenting. My parents split it up when I was 12 years old, and you know, I was really like, it didn't hurt me at the time. I would say I was hurt for a little bit, but I was actually kind of happy because my mom was kind of going through some things, and she wasn't the nicest person. And so when she left, even though like it felt really sad for me, she went to DC. I was just really happy to kind of like be home with my dad. He was more chill, and you know, we got along better. And so they broke up, and I think this like began my like experience of like seeing my parents operate. You know, I went from having a 2-parent household to seeing my parents together every single day, y'all. My dad was like coming home every single day. He was a really great, you know, family man in a lot of aspects. Not some. My dad was a really great man and still is. But so to go from seeing your parents every day to like not barely even talking to your mom, like I didn't even talk to my mom for like a couple years. We probably talked in a span of like 4 years, like twice a year. Was a really huge transition for me. I'm a robot, y'all, just malfunctioning. So yeah, my parents, they didn't even talk, y'all. Like I would like tell them to talk about stuff, or when it came to school, you know, they would talk maybe behind my back about important things, but like anytime I would try to like have a conversation with all three of them, it definitely was not something that they were interested in. I could totally like feel the tension. I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't even know like why they broke up. And not saying that that's any of my business, but I definitely, wish I would have been included, just on like, as far as like what's happening with our life. I feel like everything just happened and it kept me out of it, which is better, I think, than like people showing you and fighting in your face. But I was like really confused. And so throughout high school, middle school, and college, their relationship just impacted the way that they, connected with me. Like my mom, would say things about my dad to me. And my dad did a pretty good job of like not saying anything, but it wasn't nothing too terrible. It was just like things you probably shouldn't like say. You know what I'm saying? So I could tell they didn't like each other. And that was annoying and hurtful for some reason. And then, yeah, so it was just all of that. And so, like, one story I'm going to give y'all is, like, even when I, like, graduated from college. So, first of all, my mom came to my high school graduation and she left early because she, like, didn't want to be around my dad. And so she ended up not coming to my graduation party, which was hurtful. But I get it. Like, I'm not on here to bash my people but like, this is the experience. And then in college, I graduated from college, y'all. Niggas told me to go to college. I went. And, and my mom came and she like left before I even could say hi to her. And it was like all out of like to avoid, conversations with my dad. It was just like really weird. And the only reason I know so much about her is because she would talk to me about it. I don't know what my dad did or didn't do, but I just don't want it to seem like I'm just going in on my mom. But that's literally what happened. My parents, I was affected in like the time that we spent together, the connections that were built, and I was like unknowingly and unpurposefully put in the crossfire of their like friction between one another. So that all affected me and how I operate with Luke and his dad, because I was always like, man, like I just don't want to not talk to my son's father. I think that's like, even though I get it, and we're going to talk about boundaries in a second, but I do feel like there are boundaries that have to be set sometimes, especially if the person is irrational, but it did affect me, and I never wanted my son to be affected. So that kind of like set the foundation on my idea of co-parenting. I was like, we have to get along. And y'all know I get extreme, and then that extremism turns into control, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so we're going to take a pause. How many parents do I have in the audience? Drop something below, maybe a heart or a kid or something. And then how many people in here had the experiences of like co-parenting? And if you don't mind, you can come up here and kind of share what that was like for you. If you want to, I would love to like hear someone else's experience and the impact that their co-parenting had on them. Yes, Adia, thank you for sharing. Okay, perfect. I see all my parents, all of them commenting below. Thank you so much. So right now, I feel like my relationship with my son's dad, it's like always like up and down. Like it's like we'll be good for some time, we'll be in agreement, and then when we aren't on agreement with some things, I can kind of see that friction light up. And at first I feel like we didn't do a really good job of like keeping Luke out of it in a way. Like I feel like maybe on my part, I'm always going to speak on me. I feel like maybe from my part, I was so eager to like make sure we communicated from like the trauma and triggers of my parents not communicating, that I didn't care how we did it or where we did it. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like that was hard for me. Oh yeah, I got somebody that wants to come up. Give me 2 seconds. Is this Coochie T? Okay, Coochie T, I got you, girl. And so, yeah, it was just like very extreme. I was like, we must communicate. When my co-parent was saying like, I need time, I need space, like I didn't like what you did, you know. So that's my stuff. Now, we ain't gonna say, you know what I'm saying, I was 100% wrong in this game, you know what I'm saying, but you know, I ain't gonna bash nobody, you feel me? But yeah, that's just an example. Okay, so there are some tips that I looked up online. Thanks, Bethany. Coochie T, I'm gonna bring you up after I give two of these tips. So there's 10 of them, and I'm gonna share them all throughout our conversation. The first two are making sure you set boundaries and a schedule. And so I have a lot to say about boundaries because, you know, boundaries for me popped up when I was single, but like they came up even more when I was like getting in a relationship. Like me and Bradley used to talk about, Bradley is Luke's dad. I'm just gonna say his name. I dare him to sue me. And Bradley, he would probably sue me. Like okay, but anyways, so Bradley and I would talk at all hours if it was like about Luke. Like if it was 2:00 in the morning and we had a thought about Luke, we would call each other or text each other. It was like when it come to Luke, it's just like there were no boundaries. But then when I got a boyfriend and I started dating Jamal, you know, I realized like I couldn't be on the phone, you know, with Luke's dad at 2:00 in the morning. It don't matter, you know, unless it was an emergency, but it wasn't an emergency. You know what I'm saying? So basically, like setting those boundaries with your co-parent and setting them for yourself, because you shouldn't be calling me at 2:00 in the morning. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. No. The calls were very mutual. So boundaries like for your new relationship or yourself. And then the schedule feels like it feels very, you know, self-explanatory. So I'm gonna bring you up, Coochie T, and you um yeah, so we're gonna wait for her because it kind of glitches, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully I brought her up. The other thing is, oh, maybe she left. Coochie T, let me know if you want to come up. I also see we have a whole bunch of people joining, so let me know if you want to come up. The stage is for everybody. The floor is for everybody. This is not a stage. So yeah, making a schedule, making sure y'all know and y'all agree on when the kids are supposed to come by, or okay, let me try. Um, So do you want to be two parents that does like, you know, weekly and then weekends, or split the week? I'm trying to add you. You might have to go out and come back in. Yeah, it says you're unable to join. With Bradley and I, we do like 50-50 parenting. So like Luke goes there half the time and he's here with us half the time, which, you know, at first it was like cool and it was something that I appreciated, but now I just feel like I don't know, I want to see Luke more, you know. But we did and like do right now agree on that schedule. So just making sure y'all agree on the schedule that you choose and it's something that like works with you and feels good in your heart. Coochie T is about to come up.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes. Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. My cousin Mariah introduced me, shared me your live to me, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I'm looking at you, I'm like, you look just like her. That's the crazy part.
Oh yes, I love Mariah. Well, what's your real name so I can stop calling
Okay.
you Coochie?
My name is Aaliyah.
Hey Aaliyah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Well, I didn't want to interrupt you if you were saying something because I was trying to. Okay, so right now I'm co-parenting. I have a 5-year-old, and let me backstory. I was also a child of 2 parents, separated, got a stepmother. I was fortunate enough though that when they broke up, I didn't remember. I was 2, so my stepmother was in my life since I was 4, and basically, so all I knew was her. And I'm fortunate that my dad, if he did date, I never knew about it. because she was the only woman in my life that my dad brought around.
Mm-hmm.
My mom dated, his life. She can't stop her life for, dating other people. I say the dynamics of that co-parenting honestly was not great. And I tried to strive from that to be like, okay, this is how we're going to do co-parenting with my son. I think they're doing better now just because I'm grown and nobody owes each other child support. So that, that plays a part too. It's and to me, my idea of arguing with somebody who you co-parenting with, especially like actively co-parenting, is like, I can't just have a whole argument with you and then I gotta see you next Tuesday. Like, that's just too stressful. In terms of co-parenting with my son's father, honestly, we're great when he's single. And what I mean by that is when he's single, not having nobody in his ear, we can co-parent. We can talk. Now, we needed to learn how to have boundaries. Because at first, I wanted to make sure that we're still cool. Like, even though, like, we're friends, I wanted us to be friends. And I wanted us to, if we do have a mutual partner or have a partner, whatever, we be a blended family. Because that was my biggest thing is I don't want my son to be like, who do I go to first at an award assembly without making the other parent mad? Like, and I felt that for a long time. Like, okay, I hugged my mom first. Now my dad feels some type of way. Or vice versa, whatever case may be. So I strived through that, and at first our co-parenting was great when he did start a relationship a while back, and basically we end up messing up that co-parent dynamics because of a whole bunch of we still in our feelings, we still love each other, whatever case might be.
This is spicy.
Listen, I'm gonna keep it funky like a sock, okay? I'm gonna keep it funky like a sock. And I'm not gonna sit up here and say it's all his fault. But at the same breath, and in the same breath, he allowed it. And me being young and in love, and still was in love with him at the time, it was a lot harder to see, to see him move to another relationship to me fast. But eventually it was going to happen, and I had to, co-parent and see him in another relationship. And she's active, and my son, like, it was a lot. And, I did some very immature things, like some very immature things. And I didn't help the situation. I definitely put gasoline on that bonfire. And now, as I'm older and my son's getting older, our co-parenting could be much better. He's in a relationship, and, the thing where our issue began was the fact we were still playing house. That's the biggest thing that I'm trying to reprogram with my son, because it feels like for him, because we go into therapy, is that he's feeling that feel of my parents separated, because he will bring it up like, can daddy come over?
How old was he when you guys like completely cut off the water supply from each other?
About last year.
Okay, so yeah, your son was definitely coherent and like, this brings me a question. I'm gonna let you finish, but I got a question for you and the audience. So go ahead. Okay, so you talked about just like you and your son's father just like, co-mingling after, you guys were over. And a lot of people believe like you cannot mess with someone who, has a child because of like their attachment with the parents still. Now, for me, I think it was definitely like we pretty much ended our stuff and like didn't do that back and forth. Like after COVID, you know what I'm saying? Like COVID happened and then we were scared and all this other stuff. But like, do you and people in the audience, do you feel like you can't date someone with a kid because of that kind of stuff? I feel very confident in like, yeah, go ahead.
Like, I would definitely say it is possible, but you also have to ask the questions. How long y'all been broken up? And then you got to ask the other questions, because, my situation is a lot similar to a lot of nowadays where, we not together, but we still live together. Do not believe that. Do not believe that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or like, it first of all, when you do date somebody with a kid, the question is, how long y'all been broken up? How well is y'all co-parenting, because a lot of, a lot of guys, and as well as women, but like, oh, my baby mama crazy, or, oh, my baby daddy crazy. And you have to also ask the question, okay, were they crazy before you met them, during when you dated them, or after? And if so, what did you do to, and to bring that cause?
I hate when guys say that girl crazy. Like, what did you do? Like, what did you do?
And as a single mother, I'm here to tell you, whenever my son's father calls me crazy, I have to remind him, I was sane before I met you. Like, let me make sure we understand that. I was about okay before I met you. I'm crazy now because I'm a mother. And the thing with the co-mingling, like, I don't mind, like, I tell people all the time, it's okay if you have to be friends with your son's mother or child's mother, let me say that, or child's father, for the simple fact that you have to deal with them for the rest of your life. And not only do you not have to, you don't have to be their friend as the girlfriend or the boyfriend of the, the other parent, but at least have the understanding. They are not going nowhere.
Yeah.
At all.
And that's what I'm like. I'm like, this person is not going nowhere. So why don't we just make the most out of this relationship and like be able, like, I be telling my people all the time, like, I'm trying to go on vacations with the whole squad. Like, bring no person. You know what I'm saying?
It comes with a lot of maturity. And when my son's we'll just say the first girlfriend of our first breakup, okay, and at first it was cool, but the issue is he would never communicate with her that I've been communicating with him. And I try to make a group chat, like, hey, so that way there was no in between nothings. And then also I made sure that I don't text this man past 8 o'clock.
Aaliyah, did you make that group chat to be kosher, or did you make that group? Okay.
Yeah, like, definitely, like, because I want to make sure, like, there was nothing in between anything. Like, just invite her and make her feel like we're co-parenting and we're all in this together. And my thing was, like, I was trying to make sure that she didn't feel threatened by me. I didn't even call. If the street lights is on, I ain't calling unless it's life or death. But, just out of respect for her. And even I got to a point where, I even got her a Mother's Day card just to be, thoughtful. And she took it as I was trying to be funny. And I'm like, and it took for other people, including him, to say, if Aaliyah don't like you, she will let you know. Like that.
You feel like you're giving me that energy. What's your sign?
Sagittarius.
Okay, yeah, definitely some energy. I was gonna say Taurus, but I definitely can see Sag. Okay, so that brings me to my next question. Well, number one, I'm a little nervous for like my boyfriend / future husband to be in conversations with my son's dad, because like Jamal is my boyfriend's name, but he don't play about me, like, and sometimes I be a little nervous because the way that Luke's dad like kind of like talks, I don't think he really understands, but sometimes I do feel like he understands, like his like disrespect, but a softer word. And I just feel like, I don't know, I just would be scared if like someone's dead.
So I have been single since me and my son's father broken up, and that's been 5 years. But I dated in between. And I think the only reason why I stayed single is because I had that hope that me and him was going to get back together, because we also was playing house, So he kind of led me on, but at the same time, I should have known better. You live and you learn. Now, the funny thing about it is he was cool when he had a girlfriend. Like, he legit had a whole relationship. And I remember that I had dated somebody, and I was like very serious with them. And I was like, I want you to meet my son's father. Before we, meet my kid, I want you to meet my son's father, out of respect. Now, luckily, Ohio and Dayton is only so small. So, of course, they knew each other. And everything was cool. Everything was, gravy. And it wasn't until, like, we was having a relationship about relationships and stuff like that, and how his expectations was totally different, how me and my son's father's expectation. And he got jealous just on the strength, because he was like, I did not want you to date nobody else. And I'm like, but you're in the whole relationship. Why does that matter?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got into the play house, like, well, I'm not happy with her and I'm getting ready to leave her. And it's just, it was so messy. It was a very messy situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that any guy who has a child, especially if it's their first child with a woman, they're immediately going to be territorial, like, that's still mine. Unless something completely changed,
Mm-mm.
And so I noticed
And
with
I
that
hate
in my
that so
situation.
much. I just hate that energy. It just kind of break down. That just it used to make me feel like property. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? Ew,
Mm-hmm.
that's like not true.
I don't like it. And then what kills me is that I had issues was you don't want me, but you sure need me.
Mm.
Like I finally got to a point with my son's father that I'm like, you're not going to keep treating me like a raincoat when things are bad and, I'm at your lowest because, I'm a natural nurturer. So if I see that you're down, I'm going to help you. And because I've been with this man since when I was 18, and I was like the first man I ever loved, first person I ever moved in, like that was my first for an adult relationship.
Oh, wow.
So it's harder. So it's so much harder. And then you have a kid with them.
Mm.
Much, much
Yeah.
harder. And the biggest thing that I'm learning now is to unlove that person and have a mutual respect as this is so-and-so's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, does he make this easy? Absolutely not. I think raising kids is probably the easiest thing in co-parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Like hands down.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
like
Damn.
it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very complicated because you have your ideas and then you have their ideas and then you will bump heads. And most times we're willing to talk about it. The issue is, and again, this is where it comes in, is when they are dating and they have somebody in their ear.
Yeah.
And then they start acting brand new, like, hold up, we was cool co-parenting. We was cool talking to you. Why you roughing up feathers? Like, what's going on?
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the third, because I got 10 things about co-parenting, like 10 rules that professionals, and I'm gonna ask you before I let you go, but like flexibility
Yeah.
is one of them, like flexibility with schedules, flexibility with time. Do you feel like you and your co-parent are flexible? For me, I feel like we have agreed times, and like that's like what Luke's dad kind of sticks to, like this is
Right.
day or something like that. And like because of that, I'll do the same. I'm like, you're not about to get over on me, like, and so I use my village. But like, are you guys flexible with y'all schedules? Are y'all able to bend according to y'all?
For the most part, yes. But we also have court order. So no matter what, that I think honestly, and this is just my opinion, court order is probably the best thing ever when it comes to co-parenting, especially if you was never married to one. Because, and this is just me as a woman, people change when after you have a baby. And, they have the, once you have a court order, it's kind of like, no, it's mandatory. Unless, you want to go back to the court and change it. Now with us, we have 3 on, 3 off, and 4 on, 4 off. So with our co-parenting, it's like we have a set schedule, and we had a set schedule before we did court order, and that helps a lot. Just in case if one of us get in our little attitudes, because I'm not gonna sit here, I'm perfect, because I do get in my attitudes like when things don't go my way, and he likes to humble me, be like, this ain't in the court order, this not, and it'd be cool until it flips back, and I'm like, hey, can you? Nope, not in my court order, and.
So just for clarity, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No,
Okay. Just for clarity, when you do court order stuff, that doesn't mean child support. That just means someone that's your schedule, or that is child support.
Okay, so this is what I've learned. So child support and court order, and like, because we have joint custody in Ohio, it's called shared parenting time, which is just basically joint custody with a nice thing. And with that being said, with the court order, basically, because my son's on Medicaid, somebody has to pay paid for the Medicaid. So then that's when child support coming. They're separate, but they work together. And with that being said, it does sometimes conflict. Now, with me in my situation, the first time, I had told, the judge was getting ready to, bust his head about child support. And because he took me to court just so he can have joint rights, which I told him that's fine. Just know that joint rights come with joint sacrifices and responsibilities.
Yeah.
And he was like, cool. So with joint custody, he has to set days, he has to set holidays when he goes to school, school schedules. So I'm the residential parent, so I get him majority of the time. The only breaks I get probably will be like winter break. He's supposed to get him, other holidays as well. But sometimes it's just like, if you got to work, I'll just keep him. Or we good at communicating. Okay. Well, in the most part, we're good at communicating of, hey, I can't do this day because of this happened. And I also had to keep mindful that he does have another child, So I had to get this false reality of he's going to be there for my child every single day. I had to get it out of my head because it's not going to be realistic. He has another child that he has to take care of. But I always also keep in mind is the same effort you have for one child, you want to make sure you're going to have for this child. And a lot of women, as well as men, should have that same attitude. Yeah. But I also tell people that you having another child is not my problem. Like,
it's not your kid problem.
It's not my kid. And it sounds heartless. It really does sound heartless. But that's just a false reality. Like, if I know for a fact I have another child with another man and I can't pick up my son from school because I'm tired, you're going to look at me like, okay, well, nobody told you to have another kid.
Yeah.
So it has to be mutual respect. But I also tell people, you have to deal with your co-parenter for the rest of your life, for the rest of that child's life. And then they one day going to have grandkids. And then you got to deal with them. So, but not as much. So you might as well keep that mutual relationship of respect. That boundaries is a big key. If for people who are dating co-parenters, understand that the mama ain't going nowhere and neither is the daddy. But it's the willingness of them two of setting that boundary. Like, it has to be agreed upon.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, especially when they're in love and co-parenting, is the hardest thing ever. If it, like in your situation, like you said, that y'all was mutual, y'all cut it off, boom. Y'all had that discipline. That's a big key. It's discipline. Like, this is the boundary. This is the rule. We are not going to break that.
Ever.
Whereas I, you give me an inch, I'm going to take a mile. Like, oh, okay. I guess we're doing it.
So
but
one more question before you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we talked about. So I asked everybody in the comments, like, what do you guys think about child support? Like, for me, I feel like if Luke's dad is contributing, as long as we meeting each other,
right,
the best way that we can, we good, at least 50%. And if we need to have a, because you can't, or I can't, I think that's fair. So I don't feel like, and I just hate the government. Like, I just really feel like they really are out to get our Black men, even though they make the decision to have those children and they know like what happens when it happens. But I just feel like the system, it's not there to solve anything. They really just there to like mess it up.
Okay, so for the longest, I tell my story. So for the longest, I did not have my son's father on child support. I think I had put my son's father on child support when he was 2 years old, on the strength, because for the longest, even his girlfriend who has children was like, you don't got him on child support? You don't got him on child support? And I'm like, nah, as long as I can call him and hit him up like, hey, my so-and-so needs this, boom. Or if you can't do it, all right, you know what I'm saying, the effort of trying. Where it got to a point where he was doing more for her kids than mine, and I brought it to his attention before I even made those steps. Like, hey, I need help. You're not doing X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm willing to have conversation before you go and get the fuck around to find out. And we Me and her got in two words, and I remember she distinctly said, "You're just mad that he's taking care of my household than yours." And I said, "Oh, say less." You know, big Sagittarius
Wow.
energy. Big Sagittarius energy.
It.
So, so some people will say it's petty, and to some people it is. But to me, it's like, oh no, you're not gonna feel. You're not gonna sleep well knowing that I'm struggling and you living comfortably. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Now, as years go by, we're willing to co-parent. Now, with me, I don't ask this man no money from that child support. That child support is distinctly amount, and I'm going to work with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I need to ask him, like, hey, can I borrow $50 until I get paid? I do that, and I do pay that back. So he can never say, like, oh, you're taking extra from me. No, I need advancement. And one woman had told me, it was like, do you have to take him to daycare? I'm like, yes. And that coming out of your money when you do the gas? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, what about the food? What about this? I'm like, he's not paying you. He's paying to maintain the household that which he created. He created a household with you. And now he's doing another household, and he's taking care of the bills, taking care of her house, doing this, doing that. Why can't he pay you? And this is actually coming from his mom, by the way. And she said some real stuff. She was like, listen, I understand you don't want to put another black man in the system. However, one day, if God forbid one day he decide, all right, I'm finna bounce, then what? At the end of the day, in this world, as a mom, you got your babies on your hip. You solid. So with the child support, like I said, I don't never ask him more than what he's already paying. But I also had to tell him, like, certain days when he was like, oh, I can't do it. Why can't you ask somebody else? Like that type of attitude. Mm-hmm. And then complain about the child support. I'm like, for every time you tell me that, oh, I'm not about to do it, you're going to have to figure it out, you're going to pay me. You're going to pay the times that I have to call off work because our child is sick. You're going to pay for the mileage when I have to pick up our child for behavioral health. You're going to pay for the mileage of me taking to a specialist, doctors, whatever the case may be, because you don't want to make an effort, which is fine. If you don't want to make an effort, I can't force you, and I don't have the energy to make you or argue with you. You're just now going to pay me. You're going to pay me to be daddy.
Yeah. How do you feel like you guys' co-parenting is affecting your son now? Where are you now?
Now, I would say I'm very transparent, and I'm not a private person. My family is. Me, I'm an open book. So my son has been diagnosed with ODB, which is oppositional defiance disorder, and ADHD. And he has a lot of emotions and a lot of rage. And he's also my little Gemini baby. So that also plays a part. And talking to him, because I'm very big on talking about children's mental health. So I do ask him, why are you angry? Why are you doing this? Why? Instead of, sometimes I do lash out, but I have to stay centered and be like, okay, it's not about me. Obviously something's bothering with you. And he was upset at one point, like, I'm mad that daddy can't come over no more. Or I'm mad that my brother can't come over. Or I'm mad that you and daddy are arguing. And that does play a part with our co-parenting. So I honestly have to be transparent with my child, because that's the best way I can co-parent, and say, me and daddy are on two different fields. But it does not mean you're showing out. It does not mean that it's okay for you to do X, Y, and Z. We're still your parents. And one time he did ask me a very interesting question. He was like, Mommy, do you still love daddy? I said, no.
He said, do you love daddy?
Yeah, he said, do I still love daddy?
Oh.
And I said, no. I said, I'm going to keep it funky with a sock.
I don't know. I mean, I get why they asked that, but keep going.
Sort of good. And I said, no, I don't love him. He's like, well, do you like him? I said, I tolerate him. I said, but our love for you is the reason why I'm willing to co-parent and be around your father. Now, whether he asked his daddy that's the conversation between them. But I had to tell him that me and daddy did a very dumb thing, on which we played a part of playing house when we wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
house. We wasn't
Ooh.
home. I
Ooh.
said, me and Daddy played house. We was not a house. We was not a home. And basically, I had to explain to him that we exposed you to something that way, and now you're dealing with the after effect of feeling like a child is being divorced. I didn't say it in those words, but basically explaining you're upset because mommy and daddy not together,
Yeah.
which is definitely understandable. But you have to, oh,
Oh, okay. I don't know, y'all. I think we might have lost Aaliyah. So we will wait for her to join, but we also have 14 minutes. So if someone else wants to come up and talk about their experience, definitely the floor is open. So I'm gonna go over a few more of these like rules to follow when you're co-parenting. The next one is like consult with each other and collaborate. And woo, the top of my thing is showing. Okay, so to co-parent and collaborate, and I would say like that's a really good one. Um, More is agree on how a child should be raised together. So like, do y'all? It's okay, Ashley. I'll repost it. Do y'all agree with how your child is supposed to be raised? I know there's like huge conversations about, like for instance, if your child really starts to identify or wants to identify as a different gender, or feels like they are someone or something else, do y'all like, how do y'all want to handle that? I feel like as children get older, these opportunities to collaborate and have conversations get harder and harder because children get more complex, and you and the co-parent might not be on the same terms, but just really always having a conversation with the kid and really re-grounding yourself, like, this is for the kid, this is not for me. I think that can be really helpful. Don't manipulate your child. So don't put them in the middle. Don't make them say like, oh, mommy's the best or daddy's the best. Like, y'all both the best. Relax. um, and another thing is like, talk about changes, talk about different things that may be coming up with your other co-parent, or household changes or structures that might be changing. Just really always keeping your kid in the loop in a way that is like beneficial to them as a child. So I do have a story, because kids really do always like, wonder about the dynamic. Like, mommy is here, daddy is there, daddy is here, mommy is there. Like, what is that about? One day, maybe like 3 months ago, Luke and I were talking, and he was just really talking about like, basically he made a comment like, they both trash. His comment was something along the lines of like, I want, all of us to live together. He was talking about me, him, and his dad. And I was like, oh, okay, just really going with his thought, like, well, Luke, well, what would happen to like Jazz and Reagan and Jamal? Like, just going where his brain. And he was like, we can all live together. And so I feel like, I don't know, kids just really yearn for that initial feeling that they had. It makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. Do y'all have to like process that if you are co-parenting? And then how do you handle conversations like that? That's a really good question. For everybody that just joined, if you had to experience your parents co-parenting, or if you are a co-parent, what are some things that you kind of excel in? Drop it in the comments. Or what did you see your parents excel in? Okay. The other thing was like, when you are in good co-parent standing, that doesn't mean you guys are best friends. That doesn't mean you get along. It just means you guys are like on one accord when it comes to co-parenting. Your children think that you get along, so you don't have to actually get along. Or maybe, I don't know. They were just saying like, when you're in good co-parenting, your kids automatically think that you get along, which I think is really dope. And I like the fact that maybe you don't necessarily have to be best friends, but because you're respectful and cordial, your kids don't know anything else. Be able to attend events with each other and recognize each other's role in the kids' lives. So I think all 10 of those are dope. I'm gonna post them in the recap, but I just felt like those 10 things to kind of show or have a healthy co-parenting relationship is dope. Like I said, I just really feel like kids get caught in a crossfire when it comes to like co-parenting, whether we want them to or not. I feel like sometimes because of our true feelings towards the other parent, it kind of affects the kid. But you know, we gonna figure it out. We gonna work on it. If I had to rate my co-parenting situation with Luke's dad, I would probably say it's maybe a 6 or a 7 right now. And I feel like we just really are like have two different mentalities, so it's like really hard for us sometimes to be on the same page about how Luke should be raised or how certain people should be spoken to and like different things like that. But I also feel one thing that I'm gonna say is like, don't be afraid to get a third party. Like if you are in a situation with a co-parent and you feel like y'all aren't on the same page, call a third party. Because that's definitely what me and Bradley had to do in the beginning. And I feel like it helped me a lot. It helped me not be so judgmental. And one thing my therapist said, because we were like going in on each other about the way that the other person operated, and I remember I was going into her about something that he did, and she like paused me and she was like, Tejal, you know, that's not a bad way to do things. That's just like a way that you wouldn't do it because y'all had two different upbringings. And that was something that she kept repeating. And that helped me understand, like, okay, you know, we had two different upbringings. So you're going to come at this situation different than I would. And then let me have a little more grace, you know, for our situation and for Bradley, which I still hold to this day. Okay, y'all. Does anybody want to come up here and talk about their experience? Ro, I know you have an interesting story. I kind of like think about, I'm not trying to put your business out there, but I kind of think about like the schedule that you have with your parents. And it kind of gives me hope, like the the every other week thing. Um, okay, y'all. Well, I'm gonna stay on for a few more minutes, but the last thing I want to share is like my ideal co-parenting situation versus like my non-ideal. And I'm excited because I just feel like I definitely always talk about this. Y'all already know, y'all can probably guess. But if I had to like have an ideal co-parenting situation with like not only Luke's father, but like uh yeah, I'm just gonna keep it there. It would basically be like, I don't know, like Luke had football games this fall, and after his football games, it would have been dope if we all could have got pizza together. You know, like I just really wanted to be kosher. I just really want to be friends, you know, with the father of my child, but I also have to respect boundaries, you know, boundaries that he has or that I have to have. So yeah, my least ideal co-parenting situation is just dealing with someone who is very controlling or like just really can't support or put anything towards, you know, the child. Or it's just really mean. Like I'm just grateful I don't have to deal with like anyone who is really mean, because I just don't like mean people. And I don't know, I as a mother of someone's child, if the father of my child was mean, I think I would turn into a different person, because you're not going to be mean to me after I gave birth to your legacy, after I'm sitting up here slaving, taking care of your kid, going to parent teacher conferences. But yeah, that's all I got today, y'all. I just really, really, really wanted to talk about co-parenting and just finding ways to make sure that we like go about it the best way possible for our kids. It's not about us. It's really about our kids, but also set them boundaries. And also, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you're not overdoing it. You know, your co-parent has obligations as well. So before I go, I'm gonna say these 10 tools and tips that I got off the internet. Thank you very well, family, aka Google search. But basically they go like this. Number one, have boundaries with your co-parent. Number two, make sure y'all have a schedule that y'all can stick to. That's less brain room. Number four, number three, make sure you are flexible. If you can be with your co-parent, if they're not somebody that takes advantage of that. Number four, consult with each other and collaborate. Like, try not to make decisions by yourself about someone else's kid that you share them with. Number five, agree on how the child should be raised. So even if you don't agree, like, find ways to compromise. Understand that your way isn't always the best way. Number six, don't manipulate your child. Keep your child out of it. Don't try to like sway them to the other parent. Talk about changes. So whatever changes are coming up, make sure you guys talk about them. And like, co-parent so well that your kids think that you like actually like the co-parent, which you probably do. Shout out to everybody in here that actually like their co-parent and like think it's like the best relationship ever. And the last two are attend events with each other if you can, and recognize each other's role. No role is more important than the other. A father's role is the same as a mother's role with each child. You know what I'm saying? So respect the roles. And also, please understand that I know that a lot of this conversation is like depending on your situation. So like, attend events with each other. Like, yes, if you can, but if someone is abusive or if someone disrespects you, like, don't put yourself in that position. And that's what I want to end on. Know your boundaries. A lot of this may not apply to you, but some of it may. And so take what you can and share it too with your friends. Like I said, the main goal of this conversation about co-parenting was just so like we could like keep the kids out the crossfire, and also for me just to reflect on my situation. Aaliyah, it's all good. We about to hop off anyway. I appreciate you for coming up. Thank you. And I'll see you guys next week.